off the rails, going off. If any of you are musicians, I'd love if you made a theme song for us. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Off the Rails. This is episode 17. Like I mentioned to you guys in the Patreon group, I recently saw a YouTube video of the great Peter McKinnon. I thought it was really cool. He was basically going through raw photos that were submitted to him and giving his own take on how he would edit it. I thought that was a cool idea. So this week's episode, I'm going to go through, I think around 4 of the raw photos that you guys submitted to me over the last week or so. And if you like it, I'm happy to do more. I definitely have more in the batch. And this is going to be, ironically, a quicker episode, even though it actually took me about 40 minutes to go through it. But I'm basically going to play it back in fast motion here and narrate over it. So this week I'm actually sure that it's going to be a shorter episode, because I see on my screen it's around 4 minutes to get through that. So this episode I'm going to make available on YouTube for everyone to watch. But if you'd like to help support the project and become a contributor or a weekly patron and gain access to these videos that I make every week, I invite you to do so. It literally helps the project to continue. And I also give some insights, some project updates, some behind the scenes. I will critique your photos, talk about the album. Basically, I go off the rails, whatever comes to my mind each week. So yeah, for this week, I'm going to do this this really cool concept of editing your raw files. And I'm just going to try and like narrate overview. I'm not telling you like exactly like what slider I'm pressing where. I think that is good for perhaps another session. All right. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to bring this up on my screen and play it now. All right. So going through your raw files here, and I wanted to pick ones that I could see that I could definitely dramatically improve it because it's shot in raw. So here we see I'm fixing the exposure. I drop down the sky, bringing up the exposure of the foreground, and immediately I'm seeing like a certain vibe, a certain feeling. So I don't usually do this, but I'm going into my split toning dialog and just kind of making this like yellowish, dusky type of feeling, meaning at dusk, as if this was shot with the sun just setting or already set, and kind of giving it that moody look. So here I'm bringing it to Photoshop, Color Effects Pro. I'll give you a link at the bottom to a tutorial that I give specifically on my workflow for Color Effects Pro. And just playing with the highlight, midtone, shadow, contrast, and saturation. I'm definitely trying to desaturate here, and I then brought it back into Adobe Camera Raw as a filter just to make that sky like a bit purpley, and I'm playing with the foreground to maybe make that a bit more yellow, just to introduce that, again, that dusk feel. And I'm actually dehazing to the left to give it a bit of like a fog. And now I'm just playing with some blend if sliders for the sky exposure just to bring that down. I'm slapping on this filter that I always use called Pleone, which I can link to also in the description. Bringing that down to like 50%, and that's a shot. Before, after. Whew, this is fast. I like this. All right, so here I'm looking for another shot. Again, this is both of these. Let me pause this for a second. Pause. Both of these were given by Nat Anfield. So I just wanted to thank you, Nat. Give you a shout out. So this again, I saw as a shot that I think could be greatly enhanced because it was shot in RAW, but this is well exposed. What I saw in this right away, and just shots like this in general of like bare trees, is that I would love to really bring out the contrast and the detail. And whenever you see snow, that's a really good opportunity to bring out the contrast and get those whites really white and get those darks really dark. And the best way to really have interplay with light and dark is to make it black and white. So, man, I missed that. It was going so quickly. Let me see if I can rewind a bit. So yeah, as you can see here, I really felt that this would look good in black and white. I mean, we're not seeing so much color. It's actually a little bit bluey. So I put it into an Adobe monochrome profile. Okay, and we'll hit start again. And now I'm just tweaking the hue sliders to bring out the contrast, to really just make the whites white and the darks dark. And then I'm seeing what could be a more interesting crop. I was seeing a lot of foreground there that I didn't think was super necessary. Again, bring it up into Color Effects Pro and just kind of amping the contrast of the highlights and shadows a bit. No saturation to play with, of course, in this case. And then just still trying to figure out what a good crop would be. Grabbing that Pleon filter, dropping down the opacity, and there you go. Before, after, bit of an abstract look, I think, which I think looks kind of cool. So the next two I picked out were specifically ones that were just rather underexposed. So we have this dog photo and this church photo. So we'll start with the dog, and first I'm seeing like what's there in the background. This is just, playing with brushes and just trying to bring out the exposure without messing up the low key. So lowering the tongue, that was a bit hot, and I'm going to go into the eyes and bring that up. But nothing more needs to be done with that. This is a funny crop, so I'm just going to focus on the windows and just try and make the scene look really dark and then have that like glowy feel where the windows, as it should be, is just exuding these beautiful colors. So I'm just messing with all the sliders to get that. Okay, so I did this together with the dog. So now we have both of them in Photoshop. Grabbing that Pleon filter again, just figuring out a nice crop for it. And there's our dog. Before, after. And then our church window. Again, I'm warming it up here a bit, and I really want to make the rest of the scene dark. And then again, just playing with that Pleon filter that I like to put on as a finishing touch. And there we go. So we have before, which is a little bit lost, after, before, after. Whoo! Thank you to Dawn Kyle for sending the latter two. And let me know if that was too fast. That felt way too fast for me. I could barely keep up with it. But I think it's interesting for me also just watching myself edit in fast motion. You kind of get like the overall vibe that I was going for very quickly without getting bogged down into like the nitty gritty details of which slider was going right or left. And I think that's important in general to see like a raw file and see in your mind, okay, but what's the end result? Or at least what's a direction of where I can see in my mind what this photo could look like, ideally. And then it's just a matter of tweaking until you get there and then tweaking some more. And I thought that was a nice exercise to just even watch my own work back. So yeah, that was off the rails editing your raw files. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. For those of you on Patreon, please comment on the post so we can keep that. Yeah, thanks again for all your support. And if you'd like to gain access to these or just help to support the community, visit patreon.com/52frames. Have a great week and happy shooting.